I am excited to just be home today and get some things done, know where to go. I am hanging out in the greenhouse because I just got done in the garden and it is crazy windy out today. This hat should not have been worn. I lost it like 2 or 3 times and had to go pick it up. I'm excited to go inside in just a few minutes and make some elderberry syrup. I'm gonna make elderberry syrup for the very first time. And I'm gonna take you along on this journey with me. So that should be fun and that should be interesting. But I really like the recipe that I'm gonna use because it's kind of not a recipe. It's kind of a guideline and I can kind of add whatever I want or how much ever I want. And so I think it's gonna be interesting and I think it's gonna be fun. Definitely gonna have to write it down and make notes. Like I always say, you definitely wanna make notes. Chickens have found their way in here again, even though they're not supposed to be in here. So I always say to write things down because you just never know. If you like the recipe, you definitely want to keep it. If you don't like it, then you want to know what you put in it so you can change that up a little bit. So we're going to run in and I hope you come with me and see how I'm going to make elderberry syrup for the very first time. And we are back inside. Welcome again to the kitchen. Hopefully you enjoy this journey as I go along and do this. I'll show you some of the stuff I'm using. So I did ordered some organic dried elderberries on Amazon. I would recommend trying to find these locally if you can. I couldn't find any local and I plan to get some elderberry bushes. My mother has some and so I'm going to propagate some, but haven't quite got to that point yet. I've got some ground ginger that I bought from Missouri. I have some ground cinnamon that I got from there as well. I also, here, let me show you what else I have here. Okay, so I also have some of this is silver biotics that we use for immunity. I have ground cloves. You can use whole cloves. This is what I had. You can also use cinnamon sticks, but because my cinnamon is organic that I got from Missouri, I'm going to use that. And then I also have, we use this a lot. I have it in a roller bottle. It's for your immune system. It strengthens it, has a great blend of essential oils in it, so I'm going to put a little bit of this in it. And I'm also going to use honey that I got from a friend of mine up the road. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and get the water. We're going to use about 3.5 cups of water. Now this is not my recipe. This is actually a recipe that I got off YouTube and I am kind of going along with what they did. It's supposed to be foolproof, so we're going to see how that works out. So you start with 3.5 cups of water. We're going to go ahead and put that in our pot. And we're going to go ahead and get that warmed up. So hopefully I don't boil this too soon. Me and the stove do not get along so well all the time, so I'm going to put this on medium. We just want this water to heat up. We don't want it to boil yet. And then we're going to add our elderberries. Alright, so I went ahead and got some bowls that we can go ahead and put stuff in while we're waiting on the water to warm up. So I do have this written down a little bit, and then I will probably write it down in my book. That way I know what I am doing next time if I like this recipe. So here's our dried elderberries. So we're just going to put 2/3 of a cup in this bowl and have that ready for when the water gets warm enough. So we've got our elderberries there. I have a tendency to boil things really fast on this side of the stove. So we're going to let this water heat up and then we'll add that. We're going to have a spoon that we can mash with, so we'll have a good spoon. And then we're going to go ahead and get some of this other stuff ready. But the elderberries are a great antioxidant. I have been wanting to make this for so long and I really wanted elderberries. We did get some and we froze them. I do have elderberry flowers that I got from a friend a year or 2 ago in my freezer that you can use for teas and things as well. Just wanted to make this elderberry syrup. And I did buy some at the store not too long ago. It's like an organic elderberry mix just to kind of get an idea of what it actually tastes like because I've never actually had it. And so this, I can kind of have a base to go off of and make sure of what I want this to taste like. So we're going to add 1 to 2 teaspoons of ginger. You can use grated ginger for this, but what I've read is that dried ginger is much more potent. So I'm actually just going to use 1 teaspoon to start with, and we will see how that works out. But like I said, I always write stuff down because if I don't, I will totally forget what I did and then I won't remember how I made it. So we've got that ready to go. And then we want, so we'll do 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. I'm going to go ahead and do a teaspoon of ground cloves. I like the smell of cloves, so we're going to add that. we're gonna add a teaspoon. Like I said, write this down so that you will know, because otherwise I won't know how I made it. Okay, so we can use 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, or we can use a couple of sticks of cinnamon. I am choosing to use the cinnamon, the ground cinnamon, because that's what I have that's organic. I'm trying to use as many organic ingredients as possible, so that I know that it doesn't have anything in it that I don't want in it. I think the only thing I have that's not organic is the ground cloves. So, but that's it. So this water's pretty warm, so we're gonna go ahead and add the elderberries, and we are going to put those in there. I'm gonna go ahead and add everything out. We're gonna add the cloves, add the cinnamon, I'll add the ground ginger. Next, we're gonna add a couple of teaspoons of the Silver Biotics. I bought this from Azure this year. They had a pretty good price on it. We've been using this for immunity. So I'm just gonna add a couple of those in there. And then I'm gonna add our immune strength, our essential oil. I buy this from Rocky Mountain Oils. They have a great company. They ship really fast. So I'm just gonna add, I don't know, I guess 2 to 3 drops. It's pretty potent. Smells wonderful. I wish you could smell it. The plan is to get this going to a rolling boil, and then we're going to let it do that for a minute or 2, and then we're going to turn it down on low, put the lid on, let it simmer for about an hour, and then we're going to come back and we will strain it off, and then we will add the honey, and then we will bottle it up after that is dissolved. Got it at a rolling boil, and it smells amazing. You can really smell the cloves in this. I'm going to show you what I've got going on here. Just a nice rolling boil. I'm just going to kind of stay here because I generally boil things over. So I'm just going to kind of hang out and stir this for a minute or so, and then I will turn it on low and put the lid on it and let it simmer for about an hour. I take about a teaspoon, sometimes daily, if my sinuses are kind of acting up, especially during this time of year right now. Otherwise, I don't take it. This is the first like fall, winter I've actually started using it. So you can already see the color that's coming out of the elderberries. So now it is time to get this turned down on low, the lid on it, and we will set our timer for about an hour. So what's great about this is now I can go and I can do some other things while this steeps. I just want to kind of make sure that I'm not too far away. As you can notice, I have my apron on today because, you know, I'm a little bit messy and it's so windy outside. I had to like make sure my hair wasn't flying away. It's just crazy out. So this is what I'm going to put it in. I actually bought these for kombucha, and I've actually already emptied 2 of these of my kombucha. So I'm going to put the elderberry syrup in here and see how far this goes, and then otherwise if I have some left over, I'm just going to put it in this other bottle that I have that actually just had elderberry syrup in it. So if you do need to buy some, I found this at Kroger. It's Honey Gardens elderberry syrup, and it's organically done, so it was a really good option. It wasn't super expensive. It was about $10, but it was only 4 ounces and we've already went through it. So I'm just going to kind of use this as backup, or use a mason jar if I need it, if I get more than what's in here. But this should boil down to about half when the hour is up, and then we'll add the honey, we'll mix it up really good and dissolve it, and then pour it in the bottle. So we're back in the kitchen after the last hour. I've been actually gone a little bit longer than that. Our oldest daughter came down and we went for a walk. She's expecting a new baby in a few months, so I'm really excited to see her and excited for that new little grandbaby. But let's get back to elderberry syrup. So we have our elderberry. It has cooked down a little bit. I think it's supposed to cook down about half. I'm not really sure how far it cooked down because I didn't pay any attention to where it was before that. So we're going to use this wire mesh strainer. I use this a lot. I use this for my butter whenever I'm straining off the buttermilk. I'm trying to think what else I use it for, but I use it a lot. And then I'm gonna have a glass bowl to catch all the syrup. We're just gonna pour it in that. I actually have a bigger bowl that I usually use. Maybe I should get it bigger bowl. Fits in there much better. So we're just gonna take our spoon and our goodie here, and we're just gonna pour it in there. Just get all that out. We're just gonna take our wooden spoon and we're just gonna mash it a little bit. We want to make sure we get all of the juice out of there, as much as we can. And then we will give these to the chickens. You can use cheesecloth, you could use muslin, any kind of strainer. I just like this because I can definitely push on this and not have to worry about it. Alright, so we'll set those aside. Now we have our elderberry syrup. So our elderberry syrup is not sweetened yet, so you definitely want to sweeten this. I gave it a little taste test before it was completely done. It's not very appetizing, I'll just say that, I don't think. So we are going to put about a cup of honey in here. Now this honey I am using is actually from my neighbor down the road. They have bees, and so we did a little trade for a chicken one day. So I have some locally sourced honey that I can use. So we're going to put a cup of honey in our elderberry syrup. We're just going to mix that up, and we just want that honey to dissolve in that syrup, and once it's dissolved we can put it in the bottles. So it's time to do a little taste test. I'm curious. It tastes a lot better than it did earlier. So we're just gonna bottle it, and this is the bottle that I use for my kombucha. I actually bought these for the kombucha, and I have already opened 2 of them since I made my first batch with these. So I thought, why not just go ahead and put it in here so I can actually see what it is, and it has just, I don't know, it looks nice. Let's get this put in the bottle here. So I filled this one up pretty full. This is, I've had about a cup and a half left, so this is also elderberry syrup. I'm gonna go ahead and mark these and put the date on here, because if you're like me, you will totally forget when you did this, or possibly even what it is without testing it or tasting it. So I'm definitely gonna mark these. I'm gonna put them in the fridge, and then we'll have them for this winter. I hope you enjoyed watching me make elderberry syrup for the very first time. If you add something different that you like, or maybe you didn't like that you added, I would love to know in the comments. If you've never made it and you enjoyed this recipe and you enjoyed this video, let me know. But this gives you a good starting point, just like it gave me a good starting point of making elderberry syrup, just to go ahead and do it. I'll try to put some stuff down below where I got some things, and to kind of give you an idea maybe of where to get yours if you can't find things locally. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, I know I just said goodbye, but I got to thinking, and I wanted to do a cost analysis, and I thought I'd share. So I actually bought my organic elderberries for $30 on Amazon, and I bought some of the organic elderberry syrup at Kroger for about $10. But the difference is, elderberry syrup that I bought, I only got about 4 ounces of syrup in a bottle. The elderberry syrup that I just made, I got like 3 to 4 cups. I can't remember exactly how much I got. So which will vary depending on how much yours cooks down. But that's a lot more. I can make over 4 more batches with the elderberries that I still have. So this is going to be much more cost effective, much better to just buy the elderberries and have them. I'm pretty sure these will stay, these are dried, so they're going to stay good for a while. I could probably freeze them too if I needed to. The elderberry syrup stays good for close to a year in the fridge, and I could probably freeze it if I needed to in something different than the jars it's in. So all in all, I think this was a really good investment for the elderberries. Even if you had to buy the honey, and some organic spices or anything that you're going to put in it, it's still going to be cost effective to make your own elderberry syrup, and it really doesn't take that much time, and it's really kind of foolproof because I literally just did it for you on camera for the very first time.